Good morning. It's Tuesday. So in response to yesterday's video, I got a question from my buddy over at Bobby Legs Loves Watches, a great YouTube channel if you are into all things watches. And recently he's been posting some fitness related videos because he's on his own fitness journey trying to get leaner. So he asked me, how do I track my calories? Do I use like an app or something like that? But first, customary wristwatch check for all you watch nerds out there. I got my Omega Seamaster Professional, the white dial, black bezel, black band. This watch probably gets the most wrist time out of the other watches that I have. I didn't think it was going to end up being that way, but there's something about that white dial. It just really pops. It's very legible. It's super comfortable. I don't know. But anyway, back to fitness. So, how do I track my calories? So, brings up like a bigger topic, bigger question. And there's no right or wrong answer. I think it's just whatever fits your personality. Some people have an idea of how many calories they need to hit per day and more or less how their macros need to land, right? They want to make sure they get above a certain amount of grams of protein, and then they're fine with, their carbs and fats just kind of being wherever they are just to fill out the remaining calories. Maybe trying to have more carb, a certain amount of carbs but whatever. So, and they have a general idea of what they're going to eat every day. And maybe a lot of those favorite meals are already saved in their app. So maybe they rotate through a dozen or so kind of like favorite meals. And they track as they go throughout the day. So they're much more flexibly... Is that a word? Flexibly? Yeah. Sorry, it's early. Flexibly minded, where they may generally kind of eat at certain times of the day, but other days they might allow themselves some snacks. And so tracking as you go is a way for them to remain flexible. And then, as they make their way towards the evening, they'll try and rectify any deficiencies they have in their daily protein or whatever. So by the end of the day, they try and land right around their calorie goal and hopefully have exceeded their protein goal and so on. To me, which is fine if that's the way you do it, that's totally cool, whatever works for you. For me personally, that's just a lot of decision making. It's a lot of constant calculating and having to be mindful of every single thing you eat and having to whip out your phone and track it and hoping that it works out at the end of the day. And some days you're at 3,000 calories, some days you're at 3,300, some days you undereat, you're at 2,700, some day it just seems not the most scientific way to go about it. And again, that's totally fine if that's your personality and you could make it work for you and you get the results you want from it. That's totally cool. Me, I'm way too OCD for that. So what I like to do is I like to create my meal plan, and I track everything in an Excel spreadsheet. I have, going back over 15 years or so, I've been using the same Excel workbook. All variations of every diet I've followed over that time, all of my workout plans, all of my goals, everything. I track all kinds of stuff. My golf game, I track now, I track my daily body weight in the morning. I track my running 7-day average of my body weight. I track my daily calories. I track my running 7-day average of my daily calories. I track my daily steps. I track my 7-day running average of my daily steps. I'm super anal about all that stuff. And getting back to diet, I create a meal plan for myself, something that I know that I could live with, and then that's just what I eat every single day. And I do, obviously I am still flexible in the sense that, if we have a social invitation that I am unable to weasel my way out of, and I have to go out and eat, then I will make room in my diet, and I'll shuffle some calories around to give myself a nice big allotment of calories for that meal when we go out. But generally speaking, on a normal day, I just eat the same foods at the same times every single day, removing all decision making from the process, which for me also removes all temptation from the process. So what I do, and walk you through a typical day, I'll try and make this quick because I don't want to bore you, but I wake up in the morning. I usually have a couple clients in the morning, and I like to train in the morning. So somewhere in and around 90 minutes or so to 2 hours before my workout, I have 80 grams of oatmeal and 1 scoop of protein powder mixed with some cinnamon and a little bit of salt. That'll be my quote-unquote pre-workout meal, basically just to break the fast and get some food running through my body, so make sure I have plenty of carbs, plenty of energy for my workout. My post-workout meal is almost always a shake, just because I just enjoy shakes. It's kind of like my little treat after my workout. So I'll have 2 scoops of protein powder, which I weigh out on a scale. I don't just scoop it and level it off and put it in. I actually weigh out the 35-gram scoop. I weigh everything on a digital scale. I don't eyeball anything. So I have 2 scoops of protein powder, 200 grams of banana, 50 grams of maltodextrin, a heaping teaspoon of creatine, pinch of salt, some cinnamon. That's mixed with water. That's my post-workout shake, my post-workout meal. And then the other 3 meals of the day are all chicken breast and white rice. It's and they'll differ a little bit. So I'll have 145 grams of grilled chicken breast with 1 bag of the Ben's or Uncle Ben's jasmine rice packets and 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Then the next meal is essentially the same thing, 145 grams of grilled chicken breast with 1 packet of the microwavable white rice and a half tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And then the last meal is 145 grams of grilled chicken breast, a half of a bag of the white rice, and a half tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, plus my fish oil and my animal pack vitamins that I take every day. And when you add all that up, it is 3,208 calories. It's upwards of 250 grams of protein. It's upwards of 375 grams of carbs, and it's around, upwards of 75 grams of fat. And I'll do that every single day. I usually, if I don't have to pack everything with me in the morning, at minimum, I'll take my oatmeal with me in the car. And then when I get home, all while I'm in the kitchen at that one moment, I'll make my protein shake. And then while I'm sipping on my post-workout protein shake, I'll make my oatmeal for the next day, put it in the fridge. I'll take out the big bowl of grilled chicken breast that I have, and I will weigh it, separate it into 3 different Tupperwares, microwave my rice, separate it all into the Tupperwares, and I actually just leave it right on the countertop. And then when it's time to eat, I just grab a Tupperware, throw it in the microwave for 30 seconds, eat it, wash it real quick in the sink, and boom, done. So that way, it takes me a maximum of 20 minutes to make my protein shake, make my oatmeal for the next day, and measure out and, put into Tupperwares my food for that day. So it's the least amount of time, the least amount of decision making. I have no excuses. I know exactly what to buy when I go to the store. I'm on a routine with my meal prep, with grilling the chicken. I have the rice delivered right to my house from Amazon. I mean, it's just like, could not be easier. And it's tastes good enough that I kind of look forward to my meals, but I don't dress it up with all kinds of, obviously because of calories, but I don't dress it up with all kinds of high calorie sauces and all kinds of stuff. So it's like, I'm like dying to eat it and I want more. It's like, it satiates me and I move on with the rest of my day and I don't have to obsess about food. So that's what I do. Again, it's not for everybody, but I think there's a, there is a coach, oh man, I'm going to get his name wrong. Eric, it's not Wexler. Anyway, there's a coach that he uses the term default diet. I think everybody needs a default diet. Just a general basic template that they try and follow to some extent. Just to give some type of framework for your meals. Generally, what you're trying to eat throughout the day and generally at what times you're trying to eat those meals. Just something to work off of. And then you could be flexible based on that. But it helps to have that framework, that underlying framework to build from. That default position, that default diet. And then as you progress, again, I find it easier to just have everything figured out in advance and just eat the same thing every day. I thrive on that type of discipline, and it goes back to that saying, discipline equals freedom. I remove all decision making from the process, and I try and be just like a robot. Like, I know you ask me today what I'm going to eat next Thursday, it's exactly what I'm eating today. That's it. There's no like, oh, I think I'm going to go out and try this new restaurant for lunch because, my wife and I are going to the beach. So, maybe I'll just have something. I'll try and make it fit into my diet. It's like, that's things like that are great and much better when you're like off-season mode, when you're in maintenance mode. But when you're kind of ramping up for like a contest prep, and especially when you start contest prep, it's not even just the calories and the macros. It's also the way the food affects your sodium intake. It affects your weight on the scale. You're trying to avoid all the ups and downs on the scale that is obscuring the actual, like, trying to measure your actual fat loss. So we all know the scale goes up and down with water weight, but we don't want to like aggravate that by constantly eating different foods from restaurants that we don't really know what's in there. We're really just guessing at the calories. We don't know exactly how they're preparing it and how much sodium is in it and all that stuff. So that's another reason why you not only want to focus on your calories and your macros, but you also want to hover around the same food choices, because those food choices, if you've done this long enough, you should be choosing foods that have a very predictable outcome, meaning it leaves me feeling satiated, it doesn't bloat me, it doesn't give me diarrhea, it doesn't cause me to gain a bunch of water weight overnight for whatever reason, it's not sitting heavy in my stomach. Things like that. The foods that agree with your body and give you a more consistent and predictable outcome as far as like your morning weigh-ins. You're not just like totally drawn out one day and then you eat something off menu the night before a weigh-in, and then you're retaining a ton of water for seemingly no reason, and now you're up a couple pounds, and it's hard to sift through all that noise. So that's why I do what I do. So without rambling any longer, I do not track calories per se. I create a meal plan and I follow my meal plan, and everything is measured and calculated to the friggin' calorie. And that's probably way more OCD for most people, but I find it works for me. All right. Peace out, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Later.